Да, да,
Welcome,
искаш.
everybody. We'll be getting started here in just a couple minutes. We're going to let everybody get logged in. Would
Имаш ли
love
се
it while we're getting
превежда на
started.
мене?
If
Добре.
you'd make sure that you guys are muted, please.
Има много листове.
I can hear we've got somebody unmuted, so please do mute yourself. That would be hugely
Добре.
helpful.
Ето тези
And
също има бели листа.
we'll try to see if I can get some muted there myself. And then if you would, in the comments, I would love it if you would start telling us where you guys are coming in from. We've got a couple minutes here. If you have questions, please do raise your hand. We'll get to you momentarily. I'm going to try to get all the windows set up here in a moment, but I would love to hear in the chat where you guys are from. If you guys are wondering, I'm actually in sunny Alabama at the moment. Very thankful. Not up in the snow where I'm originally from, so this is great. But I'd love to hear where we got. We've got lots of stuff coming in. Mark, I see you're from Michigan, where I used to be from. We've got Louisiana, Thailand, Montreal, South Dakota, Texas, Oregon, Sacramento, Australia, Houston. Man, oh man, I love it. So awesome, guys, to see you guys there. We're going to let everybody in. We're going to give it, my timer's off by just a little bit. We won't necessarily wait another full 3 minutes, but I will wait just a couple minutes here and we'll go ahead and get things started and we'll dive right on in. And then we'll handle a little housekeeping and try to answer any questions you've got while we're waiting here to do that. Alina, I see you've got your hand up. What can we do for you, Alina?
That was by accident. I'm sorry, Jonathan.
Oh, that's okay. Not a problem. So if you do have questions as you go through, if you'd raise your hand, I'll see that and that'll help us do that. Um, Again, while we're waiting and everybody's joining in, if you just throw in the comments where you're coming from, where you're logging in from, would love to know. And I know at least in the US here, some people are getting a bit of a snowstorm. I was talking to Suzanne Taylor earlier today, and she was in the middle of a snowstorm. If you're in that, you have my sympathies. So got from South Africa, love to see that. London, fantastic. Colorado, 9 inches of snow where some of you guys are, man, that is amazing. Snowy Philadelphia, London, lots of snow, got it. 70 degrees, San Francisco Bay, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Oh, Jason, good to see you. That's kind of my old haunting ground. So glad to see that. That's awesome. And again, we're going to wait just about another minute here. We've still got lots of people logging in, and we're going to see how it goes. We had, just so you guys know, we had about 2,600 people register. Zoom only lets me go up to 1,000 people. Now, generally, yeah, that's awesome, Larry. Thanks for clapping. I agree. We're really excited about that. Zoom only lets me go up to 1,000, but typically we only get about 30% of the people that register to actually join. So I imagine we're going to be just fine. But I am watching to see how we're doing. Right now, we've got a lot of room left. We're only at about 340 right now. So we've got lots of room left in the call. And I assume that we will probably be just fine with that and hoping that's the case. All right. So as we're getting down to our minute timer, I'm going to turn our timer off and see if I can get it off the screen. I think we are. I always struggle with that one for some reason. So we're going to go ahead and get things done. Let me change the view here. So we've got the speaker up on board. You guys can see who's talking and we can get everything done. And we're going to dive in today. We're going to talk about building custom GPTs. And so today's focus, if you're familiar with it or not, is going to be how we build out custom GPTs. And just as a quick reminder for everybody, see a quick question. Can I go live on YouTube? No, this is only done via Zoom right now. We sometimes go live, but this will get posted later, but this is not going to go live at the moment. So anyway, back to the question. Custom GPTs. By the way, great question. I appreciate all the questions, guys. Quick bit of housework. I will try to pay attention to the chat. I will not do a good job of it. I'm going to tell you that right up front because there's going to be so much stuff that goes through. So we're going to definitely miss some of that as it goes through. I apologize if that's the case. If you've got questions, a little bit of housekeeping, just raise your hand. I will call on you when the time is right. So just go ahead and raise your hand and we'll get there. And I'll ask that you guys keep yourself or muted until I bring you on, just so that we don't have background noises getting in the way. All right, with all that, let me dive in First of all, with a massive thank you to every one of you guys that's on the call. You guys have helped build this amazing group, and I'm so thrilled. We've got over 325,000 members now, as most of you guys know. So happy to have you guys here and to help joining that group. Just, yeah, I can't thank you enough. It's beyond words. I'm amazed. You guys make that group amazing, and I appreciate all the feedback and everything else. And I'm so excited to go through this today. So, with all that behind us, GPTs, what is a custom GPT and why do we care? Well, a custom GPT, and we're going to walk through and show you some today, and we're going to actually build one live that you guys will have access to. And yes, a replay will go out. So if you've registered, you will get a replay link to this, and I'll make sure that you guys get that. So if you miss anything, you will absolutely get that. We'll also put out what we call an AI enhanced version of the chat. So there's lots going on in the chat, and we'll go ahead and have AI actually summarize that whole chat for us and give us some key takeaways, anything that we share, and anything like that. So just be aware of that. But a custom GPT is really just a version of ChatGPT that we've trained with some type of specific knowledge. And there are all kinds of them that can be set up, and you can use it for almost any purpose. A couple things before we get started that are important to know. One, in order to use a custom GPT, you do not need a paid account. But in order to create a custom GPT, you do need to have a paid account. Now, the good news is you don't need their $200 a month pro plan. You just need a $20 a month plus plan. So if you want to create custom GPTs, you need to have a plus plan in order to do that, and it's $20 a month. You do not need one if you want to share, or I'm sorry, if you want to use a GPT that's been created by somebody else. You can use those with a free ChatGPT account. The other thing I always comes up is, Jonathan, can we build these on other platforms? Can we only build a custom GPT on ChatGPT? And the answer is you can build them on other platforms, but virtually every platform that you share them on, you can only share it with people on that platform. And sometimes you really can't share them at all. Claude, for example, if you're familiar with Claude, Claude, another great AI search engine, allows you to build what are called projects, which are very similar to custom GPTs, but you cannot share them publicly. So again, you could use this same type of ability to create tools for yourself, and you can use them to create tools that you share with your team or even publicly. And that's one of the exciting things, is that ability to create tools that do really neat stuff. So let me start by showing you an example. I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to take an example, and I'm going to show you a couple of custom GPTs, just so that if you're not familiar with them, you can get an idea of what they're about before we go ahead and actually show you how to make them. So we will show you how to make them as well. So this should look very familiar to you, everybody. This is the standard ChatGPT interface, and everything's pretty simple. Well, what we're going to do here is, on the left, you'll notice I have a series of what are called custom GPTs, the things we're talking about today, that are up and that are available. And I'm going to show you one that we use internally quite a bit and is super helpful. And it's called our Meeting Transcript Advisor. So let me load it up here a minute. I can click on this. This is only something we use internally, but I'm going to show you how to create one of these if you want to. So it's really easy. What this does is it analyzes meeting transcripts for actionable items. And you go, well, Jonathan, why do we want to do that? Well, if you're like me, maybe, just maybe, you're using something like Read.AI or Fathom or Otter or one of those tools that's along with your various meetings. And this is a way to actually take that transcript of that meeting and find out what has to happen. I know I'm really bad about sometimes remembering everything that has to be done. And so this is great. How does it work? Really simple. I've already downloaded a meeting transcript. So I'm going to go ahead and click the pay-per-click icon here. We're going to upload this transcript. And again, I'm going to be one that came from Read.AI. And I'm literally just going to upload the document. And this is where a custom GPT gets to be amazing, because I've already told it what I want it to do with these documents. I don't need to do anything else. I don't need to type in a bunch of custom instructions. I could, but all I need to do is upload this document, and it's been told when a transcript is uploaded what to do with it. And what's it going to do? It's going to analyze the transcript. It's going to give us any key takeaways. It's going to identify the things that I promised I was supposed to do, and it's going to also do what's called a sentiment analysis. In other words, it's going to evaluate, was this a positive call, a negative call? It's then going to, as a sales opportunity, analyze it. It's been trained as well on myself and Whitebeard Strategies. What do we do as a company? And are there any sales opportunities that we should follow up on? Maybe that weren't mentioned, but that based upon what was talked about in the call are the things we should be talking to this person about selling to them. And last but not least, it's going to identify, are there any testimonials? In other words, throughout this call, was anything said that could be used as a testimonial? So it's going to do all of that. All I have to do is press go. So we're going to wait just a second and let this pull through. And it's going to first identify the task. Remember, I said that was the first thing. And so this happened to be a call I did this morning with somebody who had taken one of my courses, and he was asking for a little bit of technical assistance, which we gave him. And it's summarizing what we did. So he needed technical assistance on the API integration of FMP data, which is true. And we talked about Pickaxe, another program. He looked for some course recommendations, and that was very true. Excuse that. And he wanted to make sure that he had a coupon code. Many of you know, once you take one of my courses, I give you guys coupons to take additional ones. He wanted to make sure he got that taken care of, which he did. He then went through and just, again, these are other summaries. Then it gave a sentiment analysis. So if you're not familiar, and if you have customer service, this could be so critical for your customer service calls. Imagine getting a notification when you had a bad call, or when maybe you didn't, maybe somebody on your team had a call that didn't go well. And you had the ability to find that out because AI analyzed it and came back and said, hey, this is a problem. You need to deal with it. So overall, positive sentiment. It said that Idea, who we talked about, expressed high satisfaction for the challenges that he's taken. In fact, even it pulled out the best thing he's ever done. He pulled that quote out. He had made some very positive comments about me. I won't read through all of those. He was very receptive to some upselling. He talked about more courses that he wanted, showed an interest. It did bring up then some potential pain points. He occasionally struggles with technical implementations and is looking for some clear guidance on API integrations and prompt troubleshooting. So those are areas that I and my team now can follow up with him on and make sure that we're doing that. And he needed confidence in applying the techniques to an Indian market. He lives in India, and so he was looking about how well that would apply. And then notice I asked you if you remember, I said I wanted to create testimonials, not create them, but identify them from this call. And so it grabbed three of them. Let's see if they're any good. Sometimes, by the way, AI hallucinates. You got to double check. I never thought the Botcraft Challenge would help me much. It's the best thing I've ever done. No, there's a testimonial I can use. My cost per lead reduced by almost 1/3, and Facebook was shocked by the results. Another testimonial I could use. Your courses are helping me transform my business and think beyond what I thought was possible. So now, just like that, I've got three testimonials that I've got to and able to pull out from that, which is really cool. And then some tasks it identified for me that I could do to follow up with. This is just an example, and I share this with you because I want to show you, as you're trying to figure out, in this case, I'm trying to figure out with ADD what I promised. I've been on calls, by the way, all day. This is my seventh call of the day, seventh Zoom meeting, and I want to sometimes forget, or I don't want to, but I do forget sometimes the things that I was doing. I want to be able to help out and dive into that, and this allows me to do that. There's some others that I want to show you just to give you a couple of examples. I'll share this one with everybody. So this is a public one that I can share. I'm going to copy the link. I'm going to go put it in the chat, by the way, if you guys would like to use that. So this is called Harriet, the hook maker. So if you guys do any type of marketing and you're ever trying to come up with a great hook, you need that first line, something that's going to grab their attention. Harriet, the hook hotshot is something that we designed and trained. And I'm going to literally show you how we did this because you can create similar versions or things that you want. And what is it? It's a GPT to create curiosity and or FOMO. That stands for fear of missing out, inducing hooks. Now, one of the things I love to do, and I'm going to show you how to do today, is to create a start button on all of yours. Because if you're using them internally or sharing them, a lot of times you don't remember what to do. And so a start button is really, really helpful. So in this case, you just click start and let's see what Harriet has to say. So Harriet says, let's craft some compelling hooks. Please provide the following details so I can tailor the hooks to your needs. Now, I've trained Harriet on the back end to do all of this, and I'll show you that in a moment. And we're going to just go ahead and answer these questions and see how this works out. So, one, target audience. I'm going to talk about my upcoming LinkedIn training that's coming up, and we'll design something for that. So our target audience is LinkedIn users wanting to create more leads. So that's my target audience. 2, the product or service. It's called Linked Impact, a 3-day challenge training. Oops. I can't type and talk, by the way. If you're new to me and these calls, I apologize. Typing and talking at the same time is not something I've mastered, so I will sometimes get quiet while I'm typing. 3, what are the key benefits or transformations this offer? Leverage, and I can take as much time as I want. We'll make these quick. Leverage AI and LinkedIn to get more leads. Number 4, what are the pain points? Not sure how to do LinkedIn outreach. That might be a pain point. And not wanting to sound like all those annoying, how are you today, people trying to connect. I don't know if you've ever run into that on LinkedIn, but I don't like that. I connect with somebody and then I get a message, how are you today? They don't care how I am today. They're trying to sell me something. Just tell me what you're trying to sell me. It'd be a lot better. Number 5, preferred platform. Where do I want these hooks to be used? In this case, I'm going to do them on Facebook and specific type of hook. Notice this is optional, so I'm not going to focus. We're just going to let it see what it comes up with. So based upon this custom GPT now, it's been trained to ask me those questions. And it's now been trained how to respond based on that. And so what it's going to do, it's going to give me 5, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 5 different hook variations that I could use. Why 5? Well, because sometimes I don't like some of them. And so I wanted to have 5 variations. By the way, if you guys use this, by the way, you guys can also get 5 of these anytime you want. I see a couple people are asking, they're not seeing the screen. If you would go in your Zoom, you will be able to see in the Zoom a tab for either say my screen or meeting or something similar to that. If you guys would go ahead and click on that, you will be able to see my screen. Zoom makes that a little bit hard. So hook variation number 1. I won't read through all 5. You can see we've got 5 of them here. Let's just go ahead and read number 1 and see if it's any good. So AI plus LinkedIn equals more leads. Are you missing out? Join the 3-day Linked Impact Challenge today. Strategy is to create a curiosity. The copywriting influence was Eugene Schwartz's principle of leveraging trends. Why it works, it combines the allure of AI and the proven power of LinkedIn. And it then recommends a visual striking image of an AI graphics overlaying LinkedIn. And again, this is the hook right here. So AI plus LinkedIn equals more leads. Are you missing out? Join the 3-day LinkedIn Impact Challenge today. Super simple. I've got more of those that I could go through, but it's that simple. And I want you to notice this is one of the really cool things. We won't have time to dig into all this, but notice at the end of it, I put even a little ad. By the way, I give this away free to people. And why? I want to get feedback on it. I want to add value. But I add, if you want more tools like this, look at this. You can go click on my link and it brings you to my store. And you go, Jonathan, why would you do that? Well, this makes for a great lead magnet. I can create this and give it away free to people, and then you can go ahead and access it super, super easily. So now let's take a look at the back end because that's part of it. That's what it does. How do we go ahead and do this? And it looks like Harriet was actually done in my team account. So let me go over to my team account a minute. And there it is. We'll edit it here in our team account. And I want to show you how you set it up. And we're going to walk through next a step-by-step on how you create one. I just first wanted to show you the GPTs. Now I'm going to show you the setup in the back. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to create one on our own. So will I repost the link to Harriet? Yes, I will. Let me see if I've still got that in my clipboard here. Here it is. Harriet. I know we've got a lot of comments going on. By the way, if you happen to miss any of these will all be posted in the summary that we put together on the end. So that's great. Alicia, thank you for posting that as well. I appreciate it. So when we go into create a custom GPT, we're literally going to name it, as you can see here, Harriet the Hook Hotshot. We're going to create a description. That description shows up right here. And then we're going to have what we call custom instructions. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. How to create custom instructions, and then knowledge files. We have the opportunity, we don't have to, but we can update knowledge files for this. So in this case, we've literally got data on copywriting, on viral hooks, on privacy, on creating powerful hooks, on memorable hooks. And I've put all of that together into a system that allows this one to work. And then I get to choose my capabilities. Do I want to have web search enabled? I do. Do I want it to use GPT's Canvas? I do. Do I want it to have their image generation? Sure, why not? So I turned that on as well. And based upon that, then I can update my tool and everything's ready to go. So no, I'm not going to start from the very beginning. I will show you when we're done. I've got to go back. Again, I'm showing you guys how this works. I'm responding to a chat, by the way. I'm going to show you how it works first, and then we're going to build one here in just a minute. But I like to show everybody what it does and what a custom GPT is before we try to build it. So I've given you a couple of examples, and now let's go ahead. I'm going to go back into my personal account just because it's easier this way, and we're going to create a brand new custom GPT from scratch. And what we're going to do, because it's January and most of us probably need to create more social media content for our business, we're going to get something that's going to allow you to create. And by the way, I'll share this, but you guys can build it right along with me if you want. We're going to create one on how to write and create an amazing, in this case, let's go ahead and we'll stick with LinkedIn because I see a lot of you guys are sharing your LinkedIn stuff. That's great. I think that's fantastic. We're going to go ahead and talk to you how to build that. I see one of the questions is, where do I find the knowledge files? We have to build those knowledge files. So let's go ahead and talk about how to do that. So what I want to do is I want to go in my ChatGPT down to Explorer. So if you're wondering steps, step one, guys, go to Explorer GPTs. Step two, click on Create. We need to click on Create because we're going to create a new GPT. And we're going to call this one our LinkedIn Post Creator. You can name it anything you want. You don't have to call it the LinkedIn Post Creator. That's just what I'm calling it. Again, you can do whatever it is that you would like along the way. For a description, what is it going to do? This is only for you and the people you're going to share it with, so it doesn't impact it, but it's going to create uh, amazing LinkedIn posts. And then what does it do? How should it behave? And what should you avoid doing? All right. So what's it do? I want you to create an amazing LinkedIn post for the defined, and I'll share this with you guys, target audience about topic for LinkedIn. So this we're gonna go through and make this better, but this is the starting point, guys. This is all that I need to do in order to start this. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna create this GPT literally with that instruction. I have a choice when I create a GPT. Do I want it to be private only to me? Do I want to be able to have anyone that has the link have access to it? That's what I'm going to choose. Or do I want to put it on the GPT store? Now, by putting it on the GPT store, you're not going to make any money. You can't sell it, but it then is publicly searchable and anybody can find it. So it's not always a bad idea. I made Harriet findable, for example. And so that's it. We're going to save this. It's going to go ahead and save this. And now we get to start testing to see how this works. By the way, this is something you will occasionally run into. It says your changes can't be published because it violates our usage policies. You know why it's violating their usage policies? I use the word LinkedIn, and they don't like that. So we're not going to bother appealing because that'll take far longer than this call. Let's go back and we're going to change the name from LinkedIn Post Creator to LI Post Creator. That should be sufficiently to get around the filters and get us where we want. By the way, there's nothing wrong with using the word LinkedIn, but their filters are catching it and saying we're not good. That may not fix it. We may get another error, but we'll try it. There we go. Notice just by changing the title, that allowed us to fix it. So I'm going to go ahead and view the GPT. I'm going to share this with you guys as well, by the way, if you guys are interested. And since some said mine didn't make me fix it, welcome to the world of ChatGPT. So we're going to be working through this, adding to this as we go along. So we're not done yet, but I want to be able to share this with you. So you've got it in the chat and you guys can go and follow along with me and see how it works. Here's the URL for that. All right. So There we have. I saw a good question from PM. Can we create it and put it on our website? Not without a tremendous amount of hard work. GPTs do not embed on websites well. If you want to do that, you can use something outside of the ChatGPT platform and do that, like Pickaxe or others. But inside of ChatGPT, no, that really does not work very well at all. So let's try this out and see how this works. So remember, we told it based on a topic and an audience to give us a LinkedIn post. So let's say my audience is entrepreneurs. Well, let's do something. Let's say we're a chiropractor. My audience is sports minded people. And we'll say we're in Jacksonville, Florida. In Jacksonville, Florida. And I want them to like chiropractic care. So I'm just giving it a concept. And what's going to happen now is it's going to go ahead and create, we didn't have to give it any instructions. It's automatically going to use that prompt to create a LinkedIn post. Now, you say, Jonathan, how does it know what to do? Well, in this case, it's just using the knowledge that ChatGPT already has. So super, super simple. And you can see we've got a post. Let's read it. Calling all Jacksonville sports fans. Whether you're hitting the field, court, or gym, staying active is a way of life here in Jacksonville. But let's face it, sports can come with their fair share of aches, pains, and occasional setbacks. That's where chiropractic care comes into play. And it might just be your new MVP. Why athletes love it. Boost performance, speed up recovery, prevent injuries, natural pain relief. Here in Jacksonville, we know the grind doesn't just stop whether you're training for your next triathlon, protecting your golf swing, or perfecting your golf swing, or dominating the pickleball courts. Chiropractic care keeps your body tuned. And notice here, this isn't a sales pitch, but it's giving good, relevant information that can be used. That, if you follow it, probably the most simple, but is a simple GPT that you could use time and time again every time you need to create a LinkedIn post without having to remember this long prompt that you want to give. You literally can just give it a prompt and have it saved and go back to this anytime you want. But we're going to make it a bit more in depth than that. Before I do that, Jaqueen's got her hand up though. Jaqueen, what question do you have before we go make this even a bit more in depth?
Yes. Hi, Jonathan. Quick question. I just want to go back to something you said a little bit earlier. I will tell you what I'm trying to do. Maybe you can tell me the best
Sure.
methodology to achieve it. So what I really want is I know you said that it's difficult to put a custom GPT on your website and you have to use a third party. What I'm
Correct.
ultimately trying to accomplish is I want my clients to use it, but I don't want them to have to actually log in and having a GPT account. I want them to use mine. So the two questions are, one, how would I do that? And would it be more feasible for me to use the $200 platform? And then that would allow me to have people have unlimited access?
Good question. So you cannot give people access to your ChatGPT account, or at least you shouldn't give them access to your ChatGPT account. You don't ever want to do that. And the reason is because that's your private information. So let me ask you, you said you wanted to give them access to your GPT account. What's your rationale behind that, Jaqueen?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I misspoke. I want them to only have access to a custom GPT that I've created, and
Okay.
then it prompts them to answer questions or whatever to provide them with the data that I need for them to provide. So I'm
Hmm.
looking to see how I can accomplish them accessing the custom GPT, but not them actually having to. I'm trying to mitigate, go get an account, log in. I want them to just be able to use it. And I'm thinking if I have the $200 platform and I build the custom, and then I don't know what third party I could use to allow them
Yeah.
to access it without actually going into GPT.
So there's only one platform I can think of that the user is not going to like could access it from your website without having to do anything whatsoever. And that
Uh-huh.
platform is Pickaxe, Pick. Let me AXE and I've got a link for it here. Let me go grab that a minute and share that. That is way beyond the scope of this one. So I
Right,
can't get
right.
into a lot of
Yeah,
description about how it works, but I will share the link
right.
to it. And if you guys want,
Okay.
I'm happy to answer some questions about it, but it is definitely beyond what what we can do here. But let me
Okay.
share the link here a minute, and
Okay,
that way
awesome.
everybody can find it. Here we go. And let me get this meeting chat there. So if you're interested in doing what Jakine's talking about, where you're basically hosting it on a website, you're going to want to use a product called Pickaxe. And I just put a link there for everybody to take a look at on that. And that's probably the best way to do that. I'm going to move on if you don't mind, Jakine, just because I don't
Oh
want to
yeah.
get
Oh
sidetracked
yeah,
with
no
it. But
problem. No
that's
problem.
how to do that in this case. And that's definitely a more advanced strategy. But good question, and I can appreciate that. Just as a point of clarification, any tool that you use when you're going to create a GPT, whether we're doing it in ChatGPT, whether we're doing it in Poe.com, whether we're doing it in Typing Mind, whether we're doing it in Claude, they're all going to require the user to have that software in order to use it. The reason, if you want to share one of these, I recommend doing it in ChatGPT is because most of the world already has a ChatGPT account, certainly more than have any of the other accounts. And so if you want to share it, that's the best way to do that. But embedding it inside a web page, while I'm not going to say is not technically possible, is definitely not for the faint of heart and is not something that's supported at all. So I definitely don't recommend that. But let's go back to refining this. So we've created our GPT. If you've just joined us, I know we've got new people continuing to log in. If you've just joined us, we created a really simple GPT here called LI Post Creator. And we called it LI for LinkedIn Post Creator because of the fact that ChatGPT doesn't want us to use the word LinkedIn. And we made this really, really simple. Let's go edit our GPT. And by the way, we were on our configure tab, which is where I prefer because it's easier. If you really are not sure what to do, though, you can go to the create tab and you can literally tell ChatGPT what you want to do. So let's try that here a minute and see what happens. So not this time, instead of putting a prompt in, I want to create a comprehensive LinkedIn prospecting or no, posting tool that will allow the user to provide a topic and audience and have the custom GPT create a optimized and engaging LinkedIn post. All right, so that's our goal. I know I misspelled a couple words. The good news is it won't matter. It'll figure it out. What's neat about this, if you're in the Create tab, you don't have to do any of the work. Literally, you can tell it what you want done. And notice it says it's updating the GPT for us. So, Christine, I see you're asking about the replay. Yes, the replay will be posted and we'll make sure that's available. So notice it's already made some changes for us. On the right-hand side of our screen, we can see the changes that it made. So what it do? It updated the name and it used the word LinkedIn. Isn't that interesting? So it wouldn't let me use the word LinkedIn, but it put it in. We'll see if it keeps that or not. By the way, when you run into things like this with ChatGPT, this is what happens with filters in AI. Sometimes they just go off the rails a little bit. So that's where we're at. So super simple. Yes, you can always come in and edit it. I see a great question from who was that? From Vanessa. We can always come back in and edit it, so we're not making permanent changes. And it's went ahead and given me 4 suggested things I could do to start. So let's see what it said. It says, I've updated the GPT to focus on creating optimized and engaged LinkedIn posts based on provided topic and audience. Let me know what additional tweaks you'd like. So I want to add an additional tweak in here to provide me with 3 compelling headlines. So just say, additionally, I want to create 3 optional compelling headlines for the post. Please use in this case, I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but if you have somebody that you really like and you like their tone, you can use it here. So I happen to be a massive fan of Ken Moskowitz. I don't know how many of you guys know Ken Moskowitz. He's an ad genius, and I'm going to have it use Ken's style. So please use the tone and style of Ken Moskowitz. Now, I'm blessed enough to know Ken personally, but ChatGPT knows who that is as well. So all I need to do is enter in what I want it to do, and it's now going to upgrade the custom instructions or update those custom instructions and go from there. So let's let that do that a minute. and we get a little bit more done. We're going to test this out and I'll show you how to do that. So it says, now I've updated the GPT to include the creation of 3 optional Ken Moskowitz style headlines for each LinkedIn post. Let me know if there's anything else. Well, there is one more, because what increases engagement on LinkedIn post? Images. So since we can use DALL-E to create images, let's ask it to create that image. So I also, as step 3, want you to create an image that goes along with this LinkedIn post. Notice we're not giving it any custom instructions. We're not programming anything at this point. We're literally just using the Create tab and telling it what we wanted to do, and it's going to work through. Now, it's updating our GPT, so we need to be patient while it's updating the GPT, and it says it's made that update. Let me know if you'd like any further enhancements. Well, the first thing I want to do is I want to test it and see, is it working? The fastest way to do that is just to go here on the right side of the screen and let's try it out. So I get to message it. What are the 2 things we said we wanted? A topic and an audience. So I want to give it a topic of, let's say, Monday motivation for success. That'll be my topic. And my audience will be, let's make it something specific. So chiropractors in the United States, let's say in North America. Oh, let's say around the world, around the world. We don't need to limit it. So notice I'm just giving it those 2 things. I'm not telling it what to do. I'm just giving it two things, the topic and the audience. Based upon its training, let's see what it does. Here's a LinkedIn post draft tailored for Monday motivation for success aimed at chiropractors, along with 3 headlines and a visual concept. That means it listened. So let's take a look. So here's our post. Monday motivation, align your goals for success. And there's a nice post. I'm not going to read through the whole thing. Then it's given us what we ask it for, our optional headlines. And this is really good. Success needs adjustments. Are you making the right ones? That's good for chiropractors. You get that play on words that needs adjustments. From spinal adjustments to life goals, align your success. Again, a play on words specifically for chiropractors. And chiropractors unite. Crush your goals one adjustment at a time. Those are pretty good. And what I'd do is I'd probably pick one of those to start this off. Instead of saying Monday motivation, although that's not bad, I'd probably pick one of those that I liked even better. And then it went ahead and said a professional illustration of a chiropractor adjusting a spine, giving me all that. And in this case, let's try it out and say, create the image. So I know from testing now, one of the things I want to do is I don't just want it to give me the image prompt. I want to go back in and tell it I want it to create the image. So it doesn't really have to give me the prompt. I want it to go ahead and create the image. So I will reshare this with you guys in just a moment. So there you go. Just like that, I've got this and it seems to be working, but it didn't create the image. I had to go back and do that. So let's go back and do it. Say, I want to ensure, and by the way, I'm still making edits here, that this GPT creates the image, not just gives me a prompt. So I'm not telling it how to fix it. I'm just saying what I want done. It's then going to go through. While it's doing that, I'm going to share the link here a minute again, so you guys can play around with this if you want. And this is our LinkedIn post optimizer. There we go. And it's now configured to create and provide a ready-to-use image alongside the LinkedIn post. So we're almost there. Can anybody see from the preview over here on the right, we're missing one thing. Can anybody see what that might be? We're missing an image. We don't have an image for this one. So how do we create an image? For the image, we can either tell it to create one. Let's say create an icon for this GPT. And it's now going to go ahead and automatically do this for us. It's going to go ahead and create that image. And it'll take just a second here. We'll have to scroll on down and it will have created that for us. Here we go. Not bad. I'll even put LinkedIn graphic on there. I like that. That's good. And notice it updated it for us over here. So it's all updated and ready to go super easily. So let's go ahead and update this one. And that's going to share. And now we want to use it. So we've tested it briefly on the back end. And again, we're getting this. I love it. May contain harmful content. No, it's not. It just says the word LinkedIn and you don't like that. So it's ironic since it chose to name it LinkedIn. How do we fix that? We go to the configure tab. So we were on the create tab. We go to the configure. And again, we're just going to replace the word LinkedIn with LI again because of the way that, you know what? It's just the way ChatGPT operates sometimes. By the way, I saw some of you said it didn't flag you when you put it in on yours. Welcome to the world of ChatGPT. And this should work just fine. I need like a drum roll. Here we go. And anyone with the link, let's go ahead and view this GPT. So now if you go to it, it should look like this on the front end with you having the option to click some of these buttons should you choose to do so. And let's go ahead and try that. Yeah, Scott actually had a good point. He says you can add spaces in there. Like I could put linked space in and it would probably work just fine. So message. So again, create optimized post for your audiences. We know we told it only needs a topic and an audience. So let's try something totally different. Let's try a topic of feeding giraffes, and our audience would be zookeepers instead. So now this is totally off the wall. We've not trained it on anything. Let's see what it does. The LinkedIn post, behind the scenes with the tallest residents of the zoo. Ever wondered what it's like to hand feed a giraffe? For zookeepers, it's more than a job. It's an opportunity to build trust with these gentle giants and ensure their health and happiness. Then some headlines, up close and personal, what it's really like to feed a giraffe, the tale of zookeepers, how feeding giraffes builds trust, and it's going to create an image. Now, I only see one problem in this. It didn't really use an audience of zookeepers. It kind of more wrote this like it was going to go to zoo people attending the zoo. And so remember, sometimes you need to have a follow-up and go, this sounds like a post for people visiting the zoo, not the Zoom, the zoo. I want a post for zookeepers specifically. And let's see what happens. By the way, ChatGPT's really played. It'll probably apologize and say it made a mistake. We'll see. It may not. Nope, it's just going to go ahead and change it a little bit here. Talking about fellow zookeepers. We know there's nothing quite like standing beneath a 15-foot tall giraffe, holding out a bundle of fresh leaves and watching their, I can't use it, I don't know that word, prehensile tongue expertly grab their meal. But for us, it's just a cool moment. It's a cornerstone of their care. So this one's now written more for that, and it's going to go ahead and update that across the board. All right. Let's take a look a minute here. Do I want a different image? Yes, I want. No, we won't do another image. So we've got that. It's working pretty good, but there are probably some refinements that we could make to it if we want. Particularly, what I don't like about it is when it starts, it's giving us 4 buttons, and I candidly think 4 buttons is kind of confusing. So let's go back and fix that. Some of you had asked, Jonathan, if we don't like it, can we fix it? We certainly can. So first of all, I want to, in the description, I want to say, provide a topic and audience for your LinkedIn post. And we'll add the space in there and see if that helps out. And we'll go back here and change LI. We'll add the space. That was a really good idea you guys had. Linked in. Shouldn't make a difference, but I bet it will. And now take a look. Remember, we had just put some simple custom instructions in. These are now the custom instructions that ChatGPT has created based upon our input, sorry. And then we've got our conversation starters. And I think these are too many. So I'm going to get rid of all of them. And I'm going to put start in place. That's it. And we'll show you how we do that. And I don't have any knowledge files uploaded. I could, if I wanted to upload files about how to write a great LinkedIn post or something, I could do that. And if you're an expert, I certainly encourage you to do that. How would I do that? Well, let me show you real quick. I'm going to go out to Perplexity. If you're not familiar, by the way, Perplexity is a great AI-based search engine, and say, I'm creating a custom GPT to write LinkedIn posts. I need to train the GPT on the best practices of writing engaging and viral LinkedIn posts. Please give me a comprehensive training document. I misspelled a few things, but it'll get it figured out. And so what's happening is Perplexity now is cool. It's an AI-based search engine. So it's going to go out and search the web to identify what are some of those best practices when it comes to creating a LinkedIn post, and what are some of those that would make it more viral across the way. And the great way to get it started, let's see what happens. So it talked about core principles in LinkedIn writing. It's talked about hook structure, formatting guidelines. This is all really good stuff. So what am I going to do with this? Really simple. I'm just going to go ahead and click on my copy button here. I'm going to go open up a new Google Doc, and I could do this in Word or anywhere else. Oop, hang on, I got to log in here real quick. Bear with me really quick while I grab this. Make sure I have my right address. There we go. And we're going to paste that exact information. Oops, that's not it. We're going to paste that exact information. Here we go. Into the document, just like that. So I've got all that information. And what am I going to call it? I'm going to call that core principles of LinkedIn post writing. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to download this document. Notice I've just copy and pasted it. Nothing special, folks. I've downloaded that document. And based upon that, we're going to download it. And I'm going to recommend we download it as a markdown document. That's the format this is written in with all the weird characters. But I could do a PDF or a text file as well. AI works on markdown, though, so it's really, really simple to do that. Now I'm going to go back over to ChatGPT, and I'm going to upload this file as a training data. So notice we went to Perplexity and we created it. And then we went back here and we made that switch, that change that easily. Now, the only other thing we need to do at this point is everything's ready to go, but I need to go back to my Create tab because I added just the Start button, and I need to tell it what to do. So I've added a Start button. Please update to make sure that this GPT asks for a topic and audience when prompted with Start. So we'll do that because we want people to be able to just click the Start button and have it work. It's updating the GPT. This will take just a second. Can I share the Perplexity prompt? Yes, I will. Here's the Perplexity. You guys can put in your relevant information in here if you want. So here is the Perplexity prompt. Oops, hang on. Let me get the right share. Zoom always defines or defaults to a specific person. Perplexity. I misspelled Perplexity, guys. Sorry. You guys will be able to make sense of it. I see Trish is asking, how do I get to the configure tab? So once you're back in your ChatGPT, you see you have two tabs up here. You have create and configure. I can go back and forth between those two tabs just like that. So it's super easy. So we've updated it. Okay, it's went ahead and added these conversation starters back in a minute, which I don't want. So I'm going to put back in start again. Make sure my training data is there. It is. And now we're going to go ahead and update our GPT. It's really important. You've got to update it after you edit it. You can go back at any point in time to do that. Again, it's still said it doesn't like LinkedIn. It's being really picky. So we'll just go back to LI so we don't have to argue with it anymore. Wait just a second here. Yes, Larissa, I did share this. I'll share it again, and we'll do that. Then Bryce asked a good question. Do you add any security to your GPTs? It depends. If it's really proprietary, I do. And I do cover that in my GPT prompting course, Botcraft. And I actually share with you guys everything I do for that. But I don't have time to dig into all of that today. So sometimes I'm going to reshare the link, by the way, to this if you guys want. So LI post optimizer. There's the link again for you. Now let's try this out and see how this works. So we've got this and let's click start. By the way, you guys, we're about a little over 35, 40 minutes into building this while I've been answering questions. So you guys can see we can build some really cool tools without having to put a lot of time. And the best part is when I get started on it, now I don't have to remember prompts all the time. And this is great. So it says, what is the topic and target audience for your LinkedIn post? Let me know and I'll craft one. Perfect. That's exactly what I want. So our topic, last time we did a giraffe. Let's try something different. So I'm down in Alabama. Let's talk about a pelican. Let's say a pelican, and we want to write it to visitors to let's see here. What's the name of the state park? Gulf Shores State Park. So not too far from me, about 10 miles away, there's a state park right on the Gulf of Mexico, and it's there's pelicans out there. And so we want to write a post about pelicans to people visiting, and let's see what it comes up with. So headlines. What this pelican taught me about resilience at Gulf Shores State Park. Nature visitor, the quiet inspiration of a pelican at Gulf Shores. And 3, a moment of stillness with a Gulf Shore pelican. And then it talks about a visitor with wings and wisdom. While exploring Gulf Shore State Park, I had an unexpected encounter with a pelican. It wasn't just a bird soaring overhead, it was a quiet teacher of presence and patience. The pelican's movements were a reminder to glide through challenges with calm confidence, to embrace rest just as it perches effortlessly on a wooden post. And to stay resilient, diving again and again for sustenance in the vastness of the sea. In a world that moves too fast, nature often holds the simplest, most profound lessons. Observing this pelican was a nudge to slow down and reflect. Have you ever found unexpected inspiration in the natural world? I'd love to hear your story. Share in the comments. Not bad, guys. We could certainly customize that, but for not a lot, that's pretty good and gives us something that we can share very easily. And it now asks me if I want the image, and I'll say yes. I'm okay with it asking me if I want the image. So let's have it create the image here and see what it does. By the way, we're using DALL-E here, folks. It is not my favorite image generation tool, so it's not likely we're going to get a stellar image out of this, but we still can get one created really easily. And that's candidly not bad. Let's zoom in on that. That's not bad. That's not a bad image at all, and kind of looks like the Gulf. So very appropriate. So I hope you guys can see as we take a look at this, how easy it can be to create that. And I want to just show you again, step by step, how it is that you guys can go through this. I saw somebody asked about my favorite image tool. I have 2, Midjourney and Flux, Flux. Those are definitely the 2 that I prefer, and we'd get a better image. We've got all the kinds of image training if you guys are interested in that. But let's go ahead and let's create the same thing, but now let me just walk through step by step what we did as a quick recap, and then I'm going to open it up for Q&A. So we'll have about 40 minutes for Q&A. If you've got questions, please raise your hand, and I will call on you guys in the order that I see you on my screen, and we'll go. So let's go ahead and take a look here at the steps. We want to go down to Explore. So scroll down to Explore GPTs. You want to then click on Create, and then you're going to come to the Configure tab. There are 2 tabs here as a reminder. We've got our Configure tab and our Create tab. If you want, you can just start on the Create tab. It makes things super easy, and literally you're going to have a conversation with ChatGPT here to build what you want. You're going to go ahead and build that. Once it's built, then you're going to have the opportunity to add training data to it. Well, you want to test it out first. I missed that part. Then you have the opportunity to add training data. And if you want to add training data, I recommend you go over to Perplexity. There are other tools you can use, but I like Perplexity. Just for the record, I could do this in ChatGPT search as well. So let me go just into another ChatGPT window. I can just paste this in and enable search, and it will actually do something very similar within ChatGPT here for me to create a document that I can use as additional training data. And again, the benefit of this over relying on ChatGPT's information, ChatGPT has a knowledge cutoff. It means the last time it was trained, and that knowledge cutoff was back in August of 2023, so almost a year and a half ago. Now, what does that mean? That means it's probably not a big deal, but if LinkedIn has made any major changes, it's not going to know that because its data hasn't been updated in about a year and a half. By creating this training document and using this search feature, it's actually going out and finding out what our current best practices today on January 6, 2025 instead. And it allows us to go ahead and create that. And again, we could do the same thing. We could put that into a document, save that document, and upload it to our custom instructions. Once we're done with that, we simply want to go ahead and test it, make sure that it's available, and then we want to have our link that's available. And I'll share this with everybody again in case you want to go through and try this out or use it. You guys could create your own version, or you're welcome to use this one as well. and you can go ahead and create your own GPTs following the same thing. So we just showed one option, how to do LinkedIn posts. You could do this for almost anything. I shared with you how I have a meeting optimizer that goes through my meeting notes and does it. If we look on the side here, I'll just share some of the others that I've got. So I've got a writing assistant that I've trained in my tone and style. So when I need to maybe respond to an email or something from somebody, I want some help from ChatGPT, I just click on that ChatGPT and it's already been trained on who I am and it saves me time. I've got Harriet the Hook, which Hotshot. It creates hooks. I shared that with you guys. I'll share that again here really quick. I know some of you guys may want that again, so I'll go ahead and share that again. This one you guys can take a look at. I've then got Ruby, which is I'm an influencer for them. So I've got a program set up on helping me create content for that. I've got my perfect prompt creator tool. This is what I use when people ask me to create prompts. It's been trained on my style and my tools of creating prompts. Then I've got a bunch of tools for different things like creating image prompts, Pillar Pro, which is part of my topical authority training to teach you what type of content to write. A communications coach. This is great. You literally can go ahead and put in a speech you've given, a transcript or whatever, and it will give you coaching advice on how to be a better speaker. My email marketing GPT teaching me how to use or how to do email marketing. Maxime, which is a mid-journey creator here that was going to pop up. Then I've got a tool that I use. You guys know I have a large Facebook group, and people give me the option to give me their emails, but I don't have the ability, according to Facebook rules. I can't use any tools to go in and extract that data from Facebook. So I print a PDF of people and I have this go through and it scans the PDF and grabs their email addresses. That is in line. I have a video tool that I can use that helps me with video AI content. I've got one that writes, I mentioned Ken Moskowitz. I've got one here. It's trained on Ken's ad copy Bible that writes ad copy for me. And it says private because this is only available to me. It's the agreement I had with Ken on that. And I've got a lot more that I can get into. You can see I've got a whole list of them there, and that's not even all of mine. So you can create GPTs on all kinds of different things. I hope this has given you some inspiration to think about and how to do that and to see how easy it is. I want to encourage you, start by just picking something simple and creating a GPT, and then get better and better over time, and we'll go from there. So let's dive into some questions. I've got till the bottom of the hour. We got 35 minutes to answer questions. Karen, you are first. Karen Jensen, what is on your mind, Karen? Oh, I think we
Good
just lost
afternoon.
Karen. Oh, no, there we
No,
are.
good afternoon. Thank you. Um, Two questions. One, I think when you did the copy from Perplexity, do you just leave everything in there, the knowledge sources at the bottom and everything,
Yeah,
just
I
and
do.
paste? Okay.
Yep.
Can you get one tip on, in addition to that, I saw other things in your knowledge base, like what do you generally like, what are must-haves for your knowledge base?
It depends really on the GPT. So every GPT is going to have a different level of knowledge. I have some that have no knowledge base at all because there really wasn't much need. It was really just the custom instructions was all that was required. So I definitely have some that don't have any, excuse me, any knowledge files uploaded whatsoever. If it's a topic that you know more about, here's what I recommend. ChatGPT probably knows, excuse me, oh, I'm so sorry, I had the hiccups. ChatGPT already knows a lot about whatever topic you probably are looking at. And you can just rely on its knowledge. But if you've got specific knowledge, or if you want to help keep it refined onto where it should be, then you want to upload training documents to that. An example might be maybe I did and we could do it on this one. I could actually create a custom GPT to teach you how to create a custom GPT, and I could upload the transcript of this training as training data to help it do that. That would be the way it could refine it. And now it's reflecting my tone and style versus just ChatGPT's. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, great question. Love it. All right. Next, Coach Bill Rapp. You're next. What's on your mind, Bill?
Thank you, Jonathan. And yes, very inspirational. It's just kind of every time we're on these things, it's creating more and more ideas. So thank you
I
for that.
love to hear that. That's awesome.
It's crazy. It's actually hard to keep up with what we want to do going forward with all of it. Um, you have the GPT trained to your writing style. I have a couple questions. Do you use that writing style in everything you create, or is it just specific to emails and things you're doing? I'm just
Good
wondering if
question.
you voice all the way
So
through that.
I'm probably a little unique. We had an interesting discussion about this actually in my Facebook group just the other day. I don't use the memory feature of ChatGPT. And the reason I choose not to use it is because I do a lot of client work. So I'm regularly doing things for clients or I'm brainstorming for other people. And I don't want that cross-contamination of data. So, Bill, if I'm working with you to help you put together a marketing strategy with AI, I don't want that strategy then to overshadow Vanessa, who we're going to call on next, and have that filter into her stuff. So I turn off the memory. And what I do instead is I have custom GPTs for every client that's trained on their tone and their style and also on their business. So if I was working with you, it would know what type of coaching you do, who are the clients you work with, what are the things that you sell, what are your services. We'd have all of that built in. And by the way, to the previous question, those are the type of things I would probably upload in a knowledge file because ChatGPT is not going to know what your exact services are, Bill. So I would
Right.
upload all of that information. And then I use that anytime I want to use my tone and style. So I use that for all kinds of content that I create because it just is a faster way to do that. If you have memory on, which is perfectly fine, by the way, and is not really an issue unless you're creating content for clients as well, then your memory is going to remember some of those aspects. And I wouldn't necessarily need my custom GPT on my tone and style at that point because I could put it into custom instructions or things like that. Does that answer your question?
That does, and actually, that was one of my other questions about the memory. So, if we're creating for others, it's good to have that shut off. But if we're just doing creating,
That's my
right,
perspective. Now, there are some people that, and keep in mind, I'm the quintessential ADD entrepreneur. I don't want to have to remember lots of steps on things, and so I don't want to have to remember to tell it, "Don't remember this," or to put in a command when I want it to remember. There are some people shared in the group some really good tips. You can actually instruct ChatGPT what to do with your memory, like add this to memory, remove that from memory. I just don't want the hassle of managing it. It's just more than I want. So it's easier for me to create a custom GPT and know that if I want to add to it, I just go to it and add to it. But it's just, I never have to worry about ChatGPT doing something off the rails. So you saw earlier today when I put in LinkedIn, it wouldn't let me do it. I had people in the comments saying, "Hey, when I did LinkedIn, it worked. It didn't stop." ChatGPT does weird things like that sometimes, and I don't have quite a high enough level for the memory that I want to trust that it won't ever do that cross contamination or do something I didn't. It does a lot better when I do custom GPTs, and that's why I choose to do it that way.
do you see it give repeated results? So you're now repeating messages or content you're going to set
No,
out, or it's always for, oh,
no.
good, good, good.
No,
I
and
was
again,
afraid of not
I've
saving
really
memory.
trained it on my tone and my style, not on specific responses. Now, it does have specific data. Like somebody says, Jonathan, where can I buy this course? It has a link that it is in the training data to automatically put that in there for me so that I don't have to tell it. But that's just a few little things like that.
So at inception with AI, there was a lot of content creation, and then we would take it to another program and filter it out so it didn't sound like it was AI generated. Maybe filter through some of the places we're posting and not get as good algorithm results. Is that an issue today? Can you take the content, let's say you created today, and just post it directly? Or do we still need to
Not
filter that out?
unless you've sufficiently trained it. So that's where the training becomes important in a custom GPT. If I just go to ChatGPT and asked it to write a post for me, it's probably going to sound really ChatGPT like. And that's still going to be an issue. And even today, I don't ever recommend taking content that I've used AI to help me create and posting it without proofing it. You will be embarrassed. It will happen. And sometimes it's just simple proofreading. I had it help me write some ad copy yesterday for an email copy for my email newsletter about a new program that's starting next week or tomorrow, actually. No, Wednesday. I'm sorry. I'm losing track of days. And it put in there about something about, are you ready to capitalize on your LinkedIn prospecting in 2024? It's not 2024, it's 2025. I proofed it, I missed it. And of course, it took about 3 minutes, and I had five people tell me, 2024, what are you talking about? I'm like, I missed it, So it still can make mistakes. And so you definitely want to proofread stuff. So,
That's kind of natural because I make that mistake anyways, and it might be March until I'm writing
especially in
something. Five
January, we make
consistent.
that mistake.
Yes.
Exactly. All right. Thanks, Bill.
Well,
Great question.
thank you.
Vanessa, you're
Appreciate it.
next. What's on your mind, Vanessa?
Well, first, I just want to say thank you. And for anybody who's on this Zoom who has not done at least one of Jonathan's challenges, do it, do it, do it. I've done four, and they have rocked my world, revolutionized our
Thank
business,
you.
and opened up some huge opportunities for new business that I didn't even know existed. So thank you for that to start
Well,
with.
thank you for the kind words, Vanessa. I appreciate that.
Yes, and so I'm working. One of the trainings that I just went through and that is sort of ongoing now is the lead gen magnet training, which and Jonathan teaches you how to do what he's doing here, but to create a lead magnet for your business. So highly recommend, and you can get the replays on that, and Jonathan can put a link in there to that one. I just
Sure.
am
Yeah.
promoting that because I think it's so
Thank you.
fantastic.
I did not,
Okay.
by the way, ask Vanessa to do this, but I'm very grateful. So thank you, Vanessa.
No, he did not pay me. This is just a happy student, and I consider Jonathan to be my AI mentor. Just so anyway. So my question is, and this is I'm going to be on the Q&A Zoom call with you regarding a lead magnet, but I'm
Yep.
working on a lead magnet. And I'm bumping into the 8,000 character limit. So I keep getting ChatGPT keeps saying analysis pause. So I ask it to count. What's happening is whenever I ask it to count how many characters are in this prompt, it'll calculate, and then all of a sudden it says analysis paused. And when it does that, the thread just locks up and I can't get back to it. So I have to start a whole new thread, explain where I am in the process, and sort of bring it back up to speed. Is that just a glitch or am I doing something wrong?
It's a glitch, but
Okay.
ChatGPT does not count well.
Okay.
So one of the things, and what Vanessa is referring to is you have an 8,000 character limit in the custom instructions. We didn't come anywhere near that today, and you won't in most of
Right.
yours. But if you do run into that, I recommend giving those custom instructions back to ChatGPT and asking it to optimize them. And if you remember, Vanessa, one of the things I recommend is to shoot for 7,500 words. And the
Right.
reason is because ChatGPT can't count. If I say
Okay.
7,500, I'm going to end up with something between 7 and 8,000 words. And so that's why I tell it to do 7,500. So
Okay.
when that happens, though, a quick hint for you, when it locks up like that, go back up to your query. If you would scroll back up, there's a pencil icon next to the chat, your last command that you gave it. If you click
Okay.
on that pencil icon, it should let you re-edit that and then restart that and get past being hung up without having to re-enter all your information.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Thank you. And
You're most welcome.
On our next Q&A, I want, or I don't know if this is appropriate now or you can refer it, but on training data, I'm trying to take some of the information from the custom instructions and put it in the training data. And I'm just kind of going in circles about, and I've even asked the GPT that I'm building what it needs to perform the way I want it to perform. And it's telling me the changes to make. So do I take its word for it more so than the,
Generally take its word for it. We'll cover that in depth though in the next one. So,
okay.
and for those of you that are asking, what's Vanessa referring to? We just wrapped up a training and we have a open Q&A on that coming up right after this call for everybody
Yes.
that was in it. So, Vanessa, again,
And
thank you. As always, I so appreciate your kindness,
thank
and
you.
we'll see you on the next call.
And Jonathan always over delivers. He's adding a Q&A bonus to the challenge. He always does this on the challenges. So he always over delivers. So
That's my
please,
goal.
yes, if you want AI training from somebody who breaks it down and makes it simple and easy for a business owner and not a lot of extra stuff that just boggles your mind and you don't really need, I think Jonathan does the best job at that of anybody I've seen.
Thank you, Vanessa. I do appreciate it. All right, Leah, we're on to you, Leah. What's on your mind, Leah?
Hi, Jonathan.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, so saving saving GPTs.
Hmm.
I've actually noticed that I don't have like I know there's one that we used that Pillar Pro. I don't have it
Yep.
in my account, and I don't know where it went and why it didn't save. Is that
Great
something that you
question.
can walk us through? And
So yeah, I think what you're referring to, Leigh, is over here on the left-hand side. It's probably disappeared, right? It's like, where did that
yes,
go? Yeah.
yes.
So ChatGPT has been having problems since mid-November, if not sooner, on what it's putting over here. This is totally controlled by ChatGPT. You do have the opportunity to remove something. So I can go over to my writing assistant here and I can click on these three dots and I can hide it.
Mm-hmm.
But even if it's there, sometimes it doesn't show up where I want it to. In other words, it just disappears. So there's two things I recommend. One, if you have one you like, so let's go down to our LinkedIn one that we just created here. So if I love this one, And especially for you because you guys didn't create it, if you want to make sure you have it, bookmark it in your browser. That's about the only thing that you can do. The other thing that you can do, though, if you remember a past chat that you've had with that Leia, you can use your search chat feature here, and I could type in giraffe because that was one of them that I did. And here we go, feeding giraffes and zookeepers. And it's going to load it. And notice when it loaded that, it loaded the LinkedIn post optimizer. And now I could start a new chat in that one, and I'm right back to it as well. So you can search your history and find one and then go back as well. But then I would recommend bookmarking it. I do bookmark mine because they disappear regularly right now. And I don't ChatGPT is not acknowledging why, but it's happening around the world. It's definitely been happening.
So you bookmark it in your browser, your
In my browser
individual.
itself, yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
So I have two other questions. As far as GPT updates, so I know when I look at the number of GPTs that you have on the left side of the
Hmm.
of your screen, I'm sure that some of those GPTs were created quite a bit, quite a, a
Yes.
while ago, right? When it comes to needing to update GPTs, what prompts that? And is there a frequency that you would recommend to take a look at, what that looks like or
Good
requires you
question.
to
Yeah.
update that?
So there's really only two reasons you need to go in and update a GPT. One is if ChatGPT adds new features. It recently, for example, added its Canvas feature to GPTs. And so if you want to add that in, you need to edit an older GPT and add that in. It's just a checkbox, but that's a new feature. The other is if the training data has changed. If ChatGPT updates its models, there's always a default model that it uses for its GPT. So right now we're on 4.0. I'm sure in 2025 that will change to some other ridiculous name that makes no sense whatsoever. Sorry, ChatGPT, but you really need better branding. And at that point in time, all of your GPTs will automatically update to that new version. So you don't have to worry about it from that. But they do occasionally add new features like Canvas, and then you do need to log back in to do that. Or if the training data has changed. So 6 months from now, I would want to probably go back through and update my training data for best LinkedIn practices. Or if something major happened with LinkedIn, I'd want to go up and make those changes sooner if they change their policies or procedures or something like that. Does that make sense?
It does.
Perfect.
Okay, so other than what we've talked about today, I know that several participants have put their contact information in the chat. And I know you mentioned that there's going to be a chat summary. Will it
Yes.
include the contact information? Because I'm trying to pay attention
I will
and
I will ask
not,
it to put that in. Also, if you want, if you go into the chats, if you open up the chat window, there are three dots right near the top, and I can't share my screen easily to show you, but
okay.
if you click on that, you will see a save chat feature, and you can save that, and it will
Okay.
save that as a text file to your computer. But I will ask AI. So what we do is we actually download that whole text file to AI, and we ask it to summarize it and organize it for us. And I will ask it to include everybody's LinkedIn profiles that they've posted.
Okay, that'd be helpful because, I was
Absolutely.
trying to follow in the chat, but like, okay,
It
I'll
gets,
connect
well,
later.
we've got 420 people on. It gets a little hard with
Exactly.
chat sometimes to keep up. So
Right.
Sherry just posted a screenshot. Thank you, Sherry, by the way. By those of you who don't know, by the way, Sherry is a godsend and helps me out managing a lot of these
Hi,
things.
Sherry.
Sherry just posted a screenshot there of how to do that to save that chat. So Sherry, thank you as always. You are amazing. All right, Ryan, you're
Okay.
next. What's on your mind, Ryan? Ryan, are you there? All right, we'll come back to Ryan. Sonia G, you're next. What's up, Sonia?
Hi there, and thanks so much for the training today. Do,
Absolutely.
do you provide training to create automated AI email call or chat responders for FAQs? That has become a time suck.
So I don't do chat bots themselves, but yes, I can definitely help you with training as far as setting up systems that are automated so that like for example, if an email comes in and I need to respond to that, we can have it analyze that email, use Make or Zapier to go ahead and pull data and respond to that email if you want. That type of thing can be done. If you're looking for like a bot on your website or something like that, I don't do that. I do have some partners that I trust and I can recommend, but I don't do that personally.
Okay, would I be able to send a DM to you to?
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to DM me and we can put a link in for my to book a call with me or whatever else.
Okay.
Happy to chat with you about that.
All right. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sonia. I appreciate it. Eric, you're next. Eric, what's on your mind?
How you doing, Jonathan?
Good to
Actually, a
see
quick,
you.
good seeing you too, man. Quick Perplexity question. I already have ChatGPT, the paid version. If I
Yep.
wanted to get Perplexity, is that a different account or would I just add it to my same account?
Perplexity is a separate service, so you do not need to pay for it. You can use the free version. If you buy the pro version of Perplexity, which is another $20 a month, you can connect it to your ChatGPT account. And what that will
Okay.
do then is it will use ChatGPT to respond to everything that Perplexity finds. So Perplexity basically goes out and gets the data and then it responds with ChatGPT. I'd encourage you though, before you do that, just try the free version. It's actually very impressive what the free version does. You may not need the pro version of Perplexity.
Okay. So would
I'm
I
not
just
sure that I'm
use the
answering your
same,
question, but
would I
they are
use the
separate.
same email? Basically, use the
Yeah, oh
same
yeah, use the
email?
same. Yep, use the same email.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I just use my Google login for all that stuff.
Okay. Perfect. That's it.
Awesome, great question. All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you so much. Next up is Sandra. Sandra, what's on your mind, Sandra?
Hi there. Uh, so when we're using our chat GPTs, obviously we're training our chat GPTs if we have the memory on. So if we share a custom chat GPT,
Hmm.
do them using it essentially start to train that custom chat GPT?
Very good question. No, it's so they've your memory in ChatGPT will not be used by any custom GPT you create, nor by any one that you share with anybody else's. So your memories, custom GPTs are separated from memory for that reason, so that you never have to worry about something saved in your memory file that then shows up on somebody else's response or vice versa.
You also had covered a couple little check mark boxes under the knowledge area, and I had to ask, what is Canvas, number one? I don't know.
Perfect
And number
question.
two, there's a box on there that was talking about code interpreter, and that if
Yep.
you uncheck that, make sure it's unchecked, that means that the user can't ask for. I'm not really sure because that's a little new if you want to cover that.
Yeah, so I'll be happy to. So you see, we've got four options as checkboxes below our knowledge files here. One is web search. Do you want the GPT to use search or not? I can't see any reason not to, so I turn that on. Do we want it to use Canvas? I'll show you what that is in just a moment. I recommend leaving it on. And do we want it to have DALL-E image generation? That can be turned on or off if you're, for example, I have some image prompting GPTs that write image prompts for me, and I don't want it to create images because I don't like DALL-E very well. I use Midjourney and Flux. So I've turned off that in there because I want to make sure it doesn't get confused and create images. I want it just to go ahead and give me the prompts. And then this last one is code interpreter and data analysis. This is something you really only need if you're uploading or your user are uploading files. Just to read it says, allow this GPT to run code. When enabled, this GPT can analyze data, work with files you've uploaded, and do math and more. So if we were needed to do that, you can turn it on. I don't think there's any risk to what you're asking, though, is for it to do anything by turning that on. It's totally up to you. But generally, I typically
Well,
don't
wait.
need it to do that data analysis.
Go up to where under knowledge it says files can be downloaded when code interpreter is enabled. Does that mean that if I upload a PDF book to my knowledge, that the customer is able to download that book somehow that I uploaded under knowledge? Because if it's
Potentially,
checkmarked on,
yes. Yes.
so you want to take that off so they can't see all of the things that you personally chose to upload.
It'll minimize the likelihood. So somebody that knows what they're doing can still hack into it and likely get that data or potentially get that data. We talk about in my Botcraft course about how to what we call harden it in order to add security features in. That in and of itself takes a couple hours, so I can't go through it today. But that is something if you're interested in, we can talk about, and I've shared in the Botcraft. Thanks, Carl, by the way, for sharing that link to that. We also then share files and how we do that to make that easy. But yeah, it's like anything on the web. Don't put anything up here that you really
Yeah.
don't want people to get because it's possible, not likely, but it's possible that they could get that. So you definitely want to be careful with what you're uploading. Let me show you,
I
Ken.
think using pickaxe, a lot of people, I was the one that asked
Yes.
the question last week that got probably 70, 80 different people because I didn't know what to do. I was going to share my custom one and I was wondering how to get it paid. And that's when some people were talking about Pickaxe. And
Pickaxe
now that I
is
know
really
about
good for
it,
that.
I
Yeah.
think it's just whether I'm going to have someone pay or not, that is a great location to keep,
It
you know.
is. It's going to be more secure. It's got much better control on Pickaxe. So that's definitely something you can consider. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
real quick on Canvas, how this works is so if I were going to write a blog post or something, we'll just do it here. It should work here just fine because I turned Canvas on. Write
Oh,
a
Canvas.
LinkedIn article about giraffes and motivation in 2025, and I'm going to try to use Canvas. I'm going to see if it will do that. When we use Canvas, it's going to open up a side window, and it's actually going to be creating a document that, yep, here we go. It's going to allow us to collaborate on. So notice how the screen splits in two. And this isn't any different. It's creating the content that you used to. But what's really different is this stuff in the Canvas, we can edit and collaborate with ChatGPT on. So I can ask it to come back and make changes to this. I can make changes myself in this. I can use different words. So if I wanted to talk about instead of the power of perspective, I could change this the power of a, oops, it's not quite done yet. Sorry. You have to wait till it finishes up. There we go. Power of perspective. I could say the power of a tall perspective. I can add that in. I can literally make edits to this document and then have ChatGPT continue. I can say, you know what, never mind. I don't like talking about connection, so I can just delete that part of it entirely. I can add new content in. So Canvas is just the ability to give you that opportunity to go ahead and actually do that. Or I can now dig further. I can ask ChatGPT about this section and say, explain. And now it's not going to do the whole document. It's literally just going to take step 4 here and explain what step 4 is about.
Wow.
So that's Canvas. It's a really cool feature. If you haven't used it, I highly recommend it. It's very cool. So great question on that. All right, Nancy, you're up next. Nancy, what's on your mind, Nancy?
Just in time. I'm almost out of memory power on my laptop. Had a question about your training in the GPT in your own voice, and what was the best document that you used in order to train it to what you do?
So I actually used a number of documents to do that and tests, and I actually put together a training called Self-Scribe on that. If you want to do the best possible way, that's what I recommend. If you're looking to do it quickly, I recommend just teaching it your personality. Go out to like 16personalities.com, take that free personality test, and then go ahead and add that in, and it will then understand a lot about you. And if you're actually on the water, Nancy, I'm envious because it looks beautiful wherever you're at. So thanks
It's
for joining
pretty.
us from the water.
Yeah, it's great to be out here, and thanks so much for what you do. I love it. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you. Have a happy new year. All right,
Thank
Arlene, you're up next. Arlene, what's on your mind, Arlene? All right, I'll come back to you in a minute, Arlene. Suzanne Barney, you're up next. Suzanne, what's on your mind, Suzanne? Oh, you're muted, Suzanne. Or Susan, I'm sorry. You're muted.
It's okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, I have some questions about using putting things into the knowledge base. Like I
Mhm.
want to write some things that are based on a lot of different books that I've read or courses that I've taken. Like, how can I get, let's suppose a book is available on Kindle, can I upload that or convert it into a PDF? How could I upload the books into the knowledge base? Is there a way to do that?
There is, and I don't have all of the details. So if you buy it through Kindle, there is a ability through Kindle to, and there's a license that goes along with it that allows you to use it for personal use. Where I don't think you can use it is when you're going to be selling it. So let's say, for example, that you wrote a book, Susan, and I wanted to use that book for knowledge for a GPT that I was just going to use personally. I can do that, and that is, as I understand it, I'm not an attorney, but as I understand it, that's kosher with all the laws. There's no problem. If, on the other hand, I wanted to take, for example, that book and I wanted to make it a training data and then use it for something I was selling, that would not be appropriate. I couldn't do that because I would then be basically using your book and not you wouldn't be getting paid for it, if that makes sense. So
Yeah,
I
when
believe
I'm
under the
looking,
fair use,
yeah,
you can use it personally, but not for something you would resell or give away.
okay. Well, I was thinking more like if I've read 30 different books, it would, it's all in my brain, but I could put it in there and have it help me write
Yeah, you
things
could you
that
could put it
I
in and
had
have
written
it
down.
summarize it or whatever. As if it's an older
Yeah.
book, I
No,
created one on I'm going to forget the name now. I called it my Hunt GPT. Somebody will remind me. I can never remember his first name, but he wrote a book back in 1920, and it's now public domain. I uploaded the entire book as a training document because it's public domain. But
right,
that's not something that we can always do, if that makes sense. Napoleon Hill,
right.
thank you
Okay,
guys for
so I have to
coming
be
to my
careful about
rescue.
that.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I
Thanks.
appreciate that. All right, Charisse, you're next. What's on your mind, Charisse?
I am. Hi, Jonathan. It's very
Hey, how
nice
are you?
to. I'm well. Very nice to meet you.
You too.
First of all, I just want to say that this training is insane. I
I hope in a good
do.
way.
It is. My company works exclusively with nonprofits and higher education around workforce development and all of that good stuff. And GPTs has been the thing that people have requested the most around grant writing.
Hmm.
And what I have found with going into it, eh, I haven't been that impressed. So maybe in your guru-ness, you can help me to determine what's happening.
Sure.
So is there a way to get the GPT to follow instructions in terms of this is step one? Then after you do step one, I need you to go to step two. And then after this, in a sequential way. Because what I have been finding is that it's not listening, which is very frustrating. So do you have any best practices on that?
Yes. So first and foremost, what you're experiencing is not unique to you. ChatGPT often acts like a teenager and does very selective listening. And I say that only because I have a 17-year-old at home, and I love him to death. But sometimes, it's amazing what stuff gets missed. For you women in the audience, it could be you could say it's just like a guy. We only listen to certain things, and ChatGPT is the exact same way. So it does selective. For grant writing, what I would actually recommend is actually a series of GPTs. So assuming the grants, and I am not a grant writer, so if I say anything weird here, Shireen, just bear with me because I'm not a grant writer. But yeah, I'm assuming there are standard aspects that go along with most grants. And what I would do is I would create a custom GPT for each one of those sections of the grant that needs to be written or responded to. And the reason is it's a lot harder for ChatGPT to get confused if it only has one thing to do. And so hypothetically, let's say there was an introduction section that needs to be written. I would train it how to write that introduction section for grants, and that would be my introduction GPT. And then if I had another one that was talking about why am I asking for the grant or what's in my application, that might be another one. And then the third one might be the closing. And I'm sure I'm way oversimplifying it. Again, I'm not a grant writer.
Okay, that's okay.
But then what I would do is I would then, as you're working with those nonprofit clients, Sharice, I would create one for each client because then you can actually call the other GPT into that. So if I've created one, let's say for you're working with Habitat for Humanity and they build a lot of houses and they're looking for a grant, you could go into the Habitat for Humanity GPT and then you could call your introduction and your grant GPT and all those sequentially, and it would only do that part of it, but based upon the information about Habitat for Humanity. Would that help?
Ah, sir, give you all the flowers. That is brilliant. Yes, 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 yes,
Perfect.
that helps. Where do I go to find your stuff to buy and
Yep.
your
So if
courses?
you just go to my website at jonathanmast.com/linktree, has links to
Okay.
everything. And Carl just posted a link as well to our site at Whitebeard Strategies. There's a store link on Whitebeard Strategies that go and has that. What I would recommend for you in that case, Charisse, is I have a course called Bot Craft, and I would
Hmm.
recommend that one to learn how to do that most effectively.
Okay. Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Next we have, I'm going to probably mess this up. I apologize. Abhinav, am I saying that properly?
Yeah, that's perfect.
What's
Nice.
on your mind, sir? What can we do for you?
Hi, this is my first time attending your course. I've been following the group for the last couple of months, but this is the first time I'm in a live session. Thank you. It's been
Thank you. I'm
everything
glad
I
you're
thought.
here.
And I would like to purchase a few trainings as well. I finally made up my mind that I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Wonderful.
So a list would be great. I'm going to check out the chat. Thank you. But the question was, I made a custom GPT and like my business, I brainstormed target audience, a complete marketing plan for this season of my business, like it's seasonal,
hmm
the sales cycle is seasonal. And I had this a whole thing brainstormed with ChatGPT, which I asked it to summarize so that I could prompt it later.
Yes.
But I thought, okay, let me make a custom GPT out of it instead of every time prompting it. And
Very
when I
smart.
pasted all that data into the custom GPT and I started asking it questions, it just forgets the business that I'm talking about as if I'm talking to a new layer of ChatGPT. It's not really honoring my instructions
Did
that
you
I
did you
got.
upload the past chats, so the past chat summary? Did you upload that as training data?
I gave it in instructions that
Yeah, you're
box.
probably what I would do and if you still have it in your history, you can go do this. Go to your history, find that chat that you had and say, please create a comprehensive training document that I can use to bring this information into a custom GPT and then upload that as a training document in addition to your custom instructions.
Okay. Okay, so that would work better. And
Yeah, I think
custom,
you'd get a much better response with that.
okay, that's great. And another question, with the Gemini Advanced, that 1204 model,
Yes.
is that better? Because I do have a Gemini subscription going on as well. Is that better than the current?
In my opinion, no, it doesn't even come close, but you will find some people that disagree with me in all candidness. I don't like Gemini as a general rule. I find that it's very cantankerous and will do one thing once and then refuse to do it again. So now, in on an individual trial by trial basis, it can do a good job, but I personally would not use it over ChatGPT or anything else on the market at this point.
Okay, because that was more of a. And which course would you recommend that I take, like first with your series of courses? I know you have a series of courses. I
I
am
do.
running a business right now and planning to launch another business. So from that perspective, what would you suggest?
Generally, the first one that I recommend is if you're looking to get specific action done, you can see that in the title of the course. But if you're looking to try to build a business, I recommend our Topical Authority Trifecta. It teaches you how to use AI-assisted marketing to build yourself an audience and to become that go-to expert in your niche. So that's generally where I recommend you start. I will be releasing a GPT here in the next couple of days, maybe a week, that you can actually use to ask questions and get recommendations on which of my courses are a best fit. But we're testing that right now, so I don't have that available quite yet. But that'd be my recommendation.
That's great. I get it right from you. Thank you so much. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you taking the
I
time to
appreciate
do
it.
this.
So, guys, we are at our time limit. I do have about 6 minutes left, so I'm going to try to answer as many questions as I can. I'm going to ask for the remainder because we've got a bunch of hands up and I'm not going to get to everybody. If you could just ask one question, I'll do a quick answer. If for any reason I can't get to you, first, accept my apologies for not having enough time. But if you would put your question down in the chat, you can even make it a direct chat to me if you want it to be private. I will make sure that I answer those questions in the next 24 to 48 hours and get back with you. But please, when you do that, if you do it direct to me, please put your email address in so that I know how to find you because sometimes your username does not match directly. So again, I'm going to take a couple more questions. We've got about 5 more minutes. Jonathan, you are next. Great name, by the way. So what can I do for you?
So I was having a similar problem with Cherie. So I have a fairly complex GPT that I had created for crafting talks for giving
hmm
live public speaking webinars and was finding that it was skipping certain steps. And it all has to be weaved together into one talk. So I don't know about would that work still for stringing together GPTs, or do you have anything that you would
It would. What I would probably add into that is either that manually you'd need to take the sections that it created and put those together into one, or you could connect it with either Make or Zapier, an automation tool, and have it take the results out of those and compile that into a document. The other way you could do it is if you turned on the Canvas feature that I just showed you, you can then call other GPTs to add into that Canvas, and then it would just be creating one master document for you at that point.
Okay, cool. I'm
Does that
in
make
your
sense?
I'm not sure how I would do that, but I get the concept of it.
If you're inside of the GPT, just enable the Canvas feature,
Yeah.
and then in your instructions, tell it to use the Canvas functionality when it's using these other GPTs to write that part of the speech.
Okay, cool. I'll give that a try.
Yeah, give that a try. If you run into problems, message me or say something in the group, and I'll be happy to try to answer it. I know there's a lot of people with questions about Canvas, so good question. Awesome.
Cool. Thanks, Jonathan.
All right, Bill, you're next. What's on your mind, Bill?
Hi, Jonathan. How are you? Hey, I just want to
Good to
say
see you.
I really resonated with your most recent post about the viral social post.
Yes.
And I wanted to throw a couple things by you.
If I can,
One is
just because of time, I'm going to ask one question right now so we can try to get to
okay,
as many people as we can.
that sounds good. What is the challenge between using maybe Perplexity Spaces versus maybe a Notebook LM? In other words, take that same concept and take that particular you know image, or take what you're working with and throw it to that before you then create the post. Have you considered going that next level?
I wouldn't go in Perplexity Spaces because it's very similar to Chat GPT, so I don't really see a need to do that. I mean, you could do the whole thing in a Perplexity space if you wanted to. I just haven't gone that way because, again, so many more people have ChatGPT that that's what I try to focus on. But you certainly could do that in a Perplexity space. As far as Notebook LM, I find that's the best use when you've got multiple documents that you need to basically carry on a conversation with. I would not necessarily use that for normal large language model work, if that makes sense. But if I had multiple books, and I apologize, somebody had asked earlier about that, I could upload all those transcripts into Notebook LM and then carry on a conversation based upon that from all of
Okay.
those books, and it would be appropriate. I'm still not again, and I'm an admitted not a Google fan when it comes to AI stuff. So I am biased against Google when it comes to that. Not that they even maybe deserve it, but I have a lot of problems using it. So I'm not a big fan of Google's AI tools as a general rule. And there are many people that disagree with me though.
I loved how you took Perplexity when it went there, and then it came back to ChatGPT. So that's what I'm kind of working with. So
Yeah, I just find it works super effective to copy and paste that result from Perplexity back into ChatGPT. And again, because I've spent more time in ChatGPT, I've got that more built out. Technically, you could do it in a space inside Perplexity, though. So,
okay, thank you.
all right, I've got time for one more. I apologize for everybody. I'm not going to get to. So, is it Arablis? Am I getting that right? There we go. Thank you for that. I apologize. So again,
It's
just as a
okay.
quick reminder before you get started, I apologize. This is going to be our last question. If I've missed you, I do apologize. If you would send me a direct message in the chat with your email address so that I can respond to you, I will go ahead and make sure I do that. If you don't want to include your email address, that's fine. I'll do the response and put it in the Facebook group so everybody will be able to see it there. But put your questions down there, and I will definitely go ahead and make sure that I get those answered in the next day or two. With that, last question, what's on your mind?
I work on film. I'm writing a children's book and I'm editing content for social media. And I'm just learning all this AI. Like I joined the group not even more than a week or two ago.
Well,
And it's so
welcome.
much information. So much information. So it's exciting. But I'm trying to figure out where I need to go to be better at what I'm doing. What are the resources that I should be using in the AI world to make what I'm doing, step it up and create
Mm-hmm.
more content and get more followers and all of that? Because I have great stuff, but it's taken a long time doing it all alone. So I see AI facilitates it a lot easier. I don't know the prompts. I don't know which ones I'm supposed to be using. I see flux, I see that. I don't know which way I'm supposed to go for video and photos. And that's mainly where I'm at right now.
Yeah, so I'll give you my perception on that. Again, there are as many opinions on this as people that you ask, so you'll find different things. I believe that when I want the best images, I'm going to go to one of two places, either Midjourney or Flux. That's Flux. If you use Flux, don't just Google it and pick the first website. Go to blackforestlabs.ai. That's the developer of Flux, and use one of their preferred partners. You'll have much better results with that. Whether we're talking cartoon images, any style of painting, of art, or photorealistic, those two platforms, in my mind, by far do the best. You will find people that vehemently disagree with me on that, but I felt that way. It used to be just Midjourney. Flux came out a few months ago. I added that in because I really like Flux. When it comes to video, there's a lot of different models. Let me recommend for you that you go and use FAL.ai. It's a site you can get Flux through. It's one of Black Forest Labs partners. And on there, they have multiple models that you can use, including multiple video models. There's things like, and I'm going to forget some of their names, but there's Minimax and High something and a bunch of, there's like 20 different platforms. And just try some of them out. You'll find that some of them work really well for what you're trying to do, and some are going to be a huge disaster and not at all where you want. But if you go to FAL.ai, without having to buy a lot of subscriptions, you just pay the API cost. Costs you about 50 cents in general to create a 5 to 10 second video. And then you can decide if that was the quality what you were looking for or not.
Yeah, because I paid the $20 for the Chat GPT.
Which I
And
definitely
they said
recommend.
I did that. That was one thing I did do before joining. But it's again, it's like I don't know the prompts. My next question is what other this, and I know it's only one. What would you recommend I take next? Another training from you to kind of dive more into this world.
If you don't know the prompts, and that's really where you want to start, I'd recommend the Prompt Whisperer Challenge. If you like trainings like this, where it's live and we're going through, then I would do Prompt Whisperer, and that'll teach you all the things I know, or at least the vast majority. I don't want to say all, but the vast majority of the things I know about prompting and how to get really good at that. And once you learn prompting, everything else becomes a lot easier. It's a great place to get started.
Where do I see those on the group, in the Facebook group? Where do I see?
Yeah, I'll put the link here in the chat again before we run. Hang on here a minute. And if not, you can just go to jonathanmast.com/linktree, and it's right there as well. But I'll put the direct link here in the chat, and you can go after that. Guys, I want to thank everyone for your time today. You guys have been amazing. I cannot thank you enough. Truly, I mean this, for making this group an amazing group. I love it. I love sharing with you guys. I wish I had more time. If these are valuable, just let me know and I'll try to fit a couple more of these into the schedule. Would love to do that. I see the thumbs up. Thank you, Richard. Your feedback, by the way, drives what I do. So if you like something, positive feedback works wonders. I will be honest, negative feedback doesn't do a whole lot, but positive feedback does. So if you've got things that you like, let me know. I'm not a complainer by heart, so I don't tend to listen to a lot of negativity. But if you've got things you like, let me know so I can do more of that. I was just talking to Romay, who's new on my staff today, that my overall goal here is to add value to you guys. And I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. So if this is adding value, let me know. If you've got things you'd like me to do, make suggestions. Thank you again for making this group amazing. Thank you for joining us, man. It just blew it out. Well, not everybody attended. We had over 2,000 people register for this, getting the replay. Thank you, everybody. You guys are amazing. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you inside the Facebook group soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.